Hello my friends and welcome back to Ultimate Minecraft. Episode number 12, we're back, and today we will be back in our village. Yes, the last episode we did a whole bunch of exploring in the end and in a fortress, and we did end up finding ourselves a pair of elytra. We got them fully enchanted. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of rockets, so we won't be using them, and yes, I have significantly less rockets now than at the end of the last episode. That is because I didn't think to take a screenshot while I was in the end at an end city for a thumbnail. So I had to use some rockets to get back to that end city where we found the wings and take a screenshot for our thumbnail. Now I have even less. Hurrah! But yes, now as you have seen at the beginning of this episode before my introduction, we do have a new villager. We also have a new zombie villager. Again. It happened again. I'm tired of it happening again, so I've not put glowstone in the floor. I will, at some point, when I'm done putting in librarians and I can take these rails out, I will come and put some red carpet over all of the glowstone and you won't even know it's there. But we do now have this one, an Unbreaking 3 villager, finally, and I am so excited that he's there. That does mean though that we can come over to our to-do list board, which I have made a little bit bigger in preparation for today, and we can come and take that sign off, because we now have an Unbreaking villager. But I've made this board bigger for a reason. I want to expand on a little bit and I want to put some more things on there. I've already got my glow ink, and I've got my 3 primary colors that I use on this board. So I'm gonna spend a minute or two and I'm just gonna put some more things on here, maybe reorganize a bit, and I'll be right back with you all. And I actually managed to fill up the whole thing. These are all things that I would like to build in the foreseeable future and that some of you have asked for. Obviously not all of them are going to be built in today's episode though, and I will explain my reasoning behind each of those buildings when we get there. For today though, it is this one right here in the very middle that I would like to begin with, because we need rockets and I feel like sugarcane and bamboo, because the 2 farms can go together quite well, but sugarcane predominantly is the first resource that we need to get scratched off of our list, and I'm honestly sick and tired of just having all of this bamboo growing out over here. So yes, that's what we're doing today. Let me grab some resources. We have a visitor. He just came wandering into my storage room as I was preparing a shulker box full of resources, and he just so happens to have something that I would like. I've not come across packed ice anywhere naturally in the world. I have not come across ice anywhere naturally in the world yet that I know of. So I'm just going to take the opportunity and buy a couple of pieces from him. Oh. I've already done that once before. The previous guy brought me blue ice. Anywho, thank you, kind sir. I really appreciate that. Nothing else you have is of much interest to me. Are your llamas with the Llama Empire? Or are they cool? Are they friendly? Okay, I have my 2 shulker boxes here. One filled with some redstone components that I think I'm going to need, and the other filled with some aesthetic building blocks, some blocks and things. And this out here I think is going to be our general color palette. I want to try and use tough. I'm not a fan of the block at all, but I think I want to try and use it. It's very green, it looks moldy, and I've never been a fan of moss blocks either, so we'll see how that goes. I think it pairs relatively well with regular basalt, so we're going to use some of that. Some dark oak logs, birch, and some dark oak planks as well. Now I know, I hear what you're saying, Elementalist. Where is the deep slate? I've been using deep slate in pretty much every single build I've done. With exceptions here and there, of course, but obviously deep slate is one of my favorites at the moment. Well, do not fear, my friends. I think I'm going to use deep slate for my floors. Oh, how wonderful it is to finally have shulker boxes. No more do I need to set up work chests. I can just fill these guys while in my storage room. That's the button I wanted to hit. And then come out to where I want to build. As for where I want to build, I'm thinking here, right across from our library. Because we're going to be making a sugarcane farm, my friends, and sugarcane, primarily used to make paper. What do libraries use? Paper in their books. I know, the logic is thin, but to me it makes sense, and I would very much like to start filling in this area similar to how we have that side filled in. And yes, we will connect them together at some point, but for now I want this space to start feeling a bit more alive like that side does. So I've got my shulker boxes here, and I've got a couple of resources. This one primarily what I'm going to need to make the farm component of today's build work. Here's the aesthetic things. So I think I'll start with some of these aesthetic blocks and do an initial layout and see where I can fit this farm in, because obviously I need the building to look good first, before it's functional. So this is what we have so far. It's a fairly simple layout, I think, but I think I can make this look pretty good, at the very least from the exterior. But pretty sure I have some ideas that will work for the interior as well, so we will get to those in due time. What I'm thinking is that this circular structure over here is kind of like the silo, right? Where either the sugarcane is dumped in or just the fibrous materials after the sugarcane has been processed. That then gets funneled into here, into like drying ovens of some sort. Actually, this is just where our chests are going to be, our ultimate collection system. Because these fibers need to be dried and they need to be compressed and processed and all kinds of things. I don't know exactly how paper manufacturing works, I just have a vague idea of it. And then we've got this little nook over here which will be the final processing station. So we'll put some workstations over here, make it look nice, like this is where they make books, this is where they press paper. But ultimately the farm is going to go in here, in this silo structure. Now it is not a very big space, I agree. However, the sugarcane farm design that I like to use, I don't know who came up with it initially. I think sugarcane farms have been around for so long now that it really doesn't matter who came up with it. But you need pistons, you need some redstone, you need observers, and then you're going to need minecarts and rails for collection systems, right? So very simple. Your observer will detect when a piece of sugarcane has reached a certain age. So you determine whether you want that to be the first time it grows or the second time it grows, because sugarcane only grows up to a height of 3 and you need the bottom one to be there, right? So assuming we say when it reaches a height of 3, you have an observer. That observer will send out a redstone signal and will ultimately power, temporary block over there, a piston. And that piston will break the sugarcane at its second height, leaving the first height behind to continue growing at a later stage. That's the farm. That's as simple as it is. That's literally it. You just need to connect that observer to a whole series of pistons that all fire at the same time to collect your sugarcane, regardless of whether or not that sugarcane has grown, because one of them will have grown, and that's the one that the observer will have detected. Simple as that. So I'm gonna see how many I can squeeze in here, because I haven't actually, done this configuration in such a small space before. I've obviously built this farm in massive scales, but I'm gonna see if I can fit it in here. And obviously I can layer it a couple of times. I just don't want it to be taller than our library's tallest tower. But aside from that, it can be taller than this building, so I'm gonna get to work. Well, that is As simple as I can make it. Keep quiet. My zombie converter is right beneath me, I think. Yeah, he's quite loud. Anyway, that is as simple as I can make it. I tried to compact it a bit more, but that's the height you need, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks tall. Can't make it shorter than that, but obviously this farm can go on for as long as you need it to. It can be made absolutely massive. Basically all it is, like I explained earlier, we have an observer over there. This observer will detect when this sugarcane gets to 3 high. At that point, there is redstone behind this observer. I also have one on the other side, and they just feed into exactly the same loop, which means all 14 of these pistons will fire at exactly the same time, every time. Regardless of whether or not all of the sugarcane is fully grown. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so the observer detects when the sugarcane gets to be 3 tall, fires a signal into that redstone, which fires all 14 pistons, breaking all of the sugarcane that is currently above 1 tall. That sugarcane then falls here. You would need to just place solid blocks on top of these stairs, which are waterlogged and hydrating the grass on which the sugarcane grows, to prevent the sugarcane from falling back there. Same thing here. These blocks are going to become a solid wall all the way up, along with that one, which will prevent the sugarcane from falling forward. So the sugarcane can only fall on that row of itself. Underneath that, there is a hopper minecart rail running in a continuous loop that will suck any items laying on the ground above them into the hopper minecart, come around, and here are 5 hoppers over which it rides. The hoppers will suck any materials items out of them and then into our storage system. Now I did already have to drop this down a further block to try and get this thing as low as I physically can, because it turned out to be quite tall. Those hoppers over there are the beginning of the next minecart track. So that's the first layer of the next 6 we'll need to build the second farm. Just one thing to be very careful of when building the next layer of this. If you're building it like I am now, exactly on top of one another, not sparing any blocks, because this is my observer line right here, right? The bottom layer, the first layer, has a redstone block right here to power a powered rail for our loop. But if you put that in there, on this layer, obviously the farm triggers and all of the pistons fully extend, which is not at all what you want. That's bad. That breaks the farm. So just be very careful where you put your redstone blocks or your redstone torches or whatever you end up using for this purpose, to ensure that your redstone power sources don't trigger the farms below them, because you need them to be independent to a degree, but obviously not fully triggered. So this will still work. I'm pretty sure that a minecart can travel that distance without any issues. If you have any concerns about that, it is quite simple, and you can just put another redstone track, a powered rail over there, and then you should be more than good. I am also an idiot, because I've been using dirt as scaffolding, when 2 episodes ago we actually went and found bamboo for scaffolding. And I've been having my bamboo grow like crazy over there. I'm a fool. I'm also going to put in each one of my 4 modules so far a single piece of bamboo to grow up. That way I get a little bit of passive bamboo income as well, and I can actually completely remove the bamboo that I had over there, so I don't have this weird bamboo in the background all the time. Now, it might be very tempting to put the bamboo in front of the observer, because bamboo grows quicker than sugarcane does, and that means your pistons fire more often. More frequent piston fires, I'm sure, will down the line result in more sugarcane gathered, because the first stage obviously grows quicker than say this one needs to get to 3 stages. But bamboo grows differently to sugarcane. Sugarcane grows consistently. It will always grow to a maximum of 3. Bamboo does not grow consistently. Bamboo, just like kelp, can reach a premature maximum growth stage. That growth stage can be 1. It can grow from a single bud up to a 2 tall piece of bamboo, and then it's done. It will never grow again, which is not ideal. That could break your farm. The chances of both observers, of the bamboo in front of both observers doing that, are very slim. But if this farm runs long enough, statistically it will happen eventually. So don't. Put your bamboo somewhere else. It will grow faster than your sugarcane, and you will get 2 bamboo per stalk every time it fires. It's not a whole lot, but it is a small, passive bamboo income. There is but one more modification that I would like to make to this farm. And that is that I'm pretty sure bamboo needs a light source of some kind to grow. Not bamboo, sugarcane. Bamboo too, probably, but sugarcane. So, in that case, I'm gonna go ahead and add glowstone. Now, you would need to add a solid block, because again, wherever you put this, you do not want your sugarcane to be able to fall onto a space. So you cannot just use a torch on this block, because the sugarcane can fall onto that block as well. So it needs to be solid. So I am going to add a couple of pieces of glowstone to each of these layers as we go up, just to provide some light inside of the farm for our sugarcane to be able to grow. The very last thing we need to do to make this farm functional is to come in and place our minecarts. That can be slightly tricky, given that, similar to how we did the bee farm, I now no longer can get in here to push start my minecarts. But, I have trapdoors somewhere. This time, I'm a bit more prepared. So, we can come in and put down a minecart over there. We can place a trapdoor, boop, into swim mode, and then we can push start said minecart. And there we go! It goes! It works! The bottom layer, fully functional now. Not fully lossless, because these corners are still open and we can still lose things through the corners, but fully lossless. See, the bamboo's already fully grown in this one. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, I need to put the other one in, and then I am going to close this whole thing in the tuff and basalt combination. But that's about as tall as I want to make it, because if I make this whole thing another 6 blocks taller, it's going to be just as tall as this tower, and I don't want that. I want the height to be a bit lower, because this is not a landmark building, this is just a paper mill. And it's already quite a bit taller than this house, and it doesn't even have a roof on it yet. So 2 layers is the maximum we're doing, and that's perfectly fine. Hey, it works! Okay, the top one just fired, and I just had to make sure that it works before anything else. Now, we should see, yeah, we got some bamboo and we got some sugarcane from that. Brilliant, excellent. I'm happy. Now I can cover it up. There we go. About 5 minutes later, we've got the whole thing enclosed. It is now a sealed unit, and it's fired off once or twice more, so it works. It definitely does work. And if that's 5 minutes, you know, that's not too bad. It's never gonna be the fastest bamboo or sugarcane farm in the world, but I'm gonna be around here in this area constantly for the foreseeable future. I think this is gonna be plenty. I'm very happy. I think this is gonna be plenty. But now, for the rest of this episode, we still need to make this thing look pretty. We've got a whole building to build around it now. So I'm gonna get a little bit of progress done on that and see what I can come up with and give you guys some progress reports, some updates. Or you know what? No. I think we can do a time lapse of this. Yes, I think let's do a time lapse. I got about halfway into adding all of these dark oak buttons on the silo before I realized that I never resumed my replay mod recording after I had gone down into the mines to get more of this stuff, more tuff, because I actually ran out. I never actually thought I'd go looking for tuff, but anyway, there it is. So I brought you back in this update. I hope you enjoyed what I did manage to get in the time lapse at least, and this is what we have so far. I'm pretty happy with most of it. It is a big building, actually. It's very tall, but I like it. It's not as big as our library is, so I'm still happy. It is quite a bit shorter than it actually, but it does have this massive silo next to it, which is an important element. However, there is a small change that I would like to do to this silo, and that is now these buttons, just the center row on these two faces, because they're the only two faces that you really see the whole face on. I want to take those buttons out and I want to put something else in there instead. Ah, yes, that looks significantly better. I'm much happier with that. It breaks up the wall a whole lot nicer. Yeah, that's good. That is very, very good. Now, this was supposed to be something that I do at the very end of the time lapse, but you know, obviously that time lapse didn't go quite according to plan, so it's about an hour later since we last checked. An hour of actual gameplay later, and that's not bad. That's almost 2.5 stacks of sugarcane and a half stack of bamboo. For something that I'm only gonna need on some occasions, and for things that are generating constantly and passively, I'm more than happy with that. That's brilliant. Now though, I think we need to do some final decorating. This episode is getting in its latter stages now, so let's do some work. I've got a third shulker box here now with a couple of nice and interesting blocks and things that we could use. So let's start with some of this. I'm gonna need bamboo as well. I want to do a bit of exterior work before we move to the interior. First things first, we already have this tree here in between these two buildings, but this space over here is still quite blank. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here at the very back just yet, but I think it is fairly safe to assume that if I were to plant a tree roughly there, we should be okay, and it shouldn't interfere too much with any buildings that I want to build on this side, and it will help to cover this up. Now I can't get there. Some strategically placed rocks will also allow us to hide some lighting back there, and that looks significantly better already. The combination of the tree we just put in and that piece of rock, that boulder, yeah, that's nice. I think we can just go ahead and add a couple more of these little guys, just because there's space and because I have them in my inventory. Throw them down there. No, I don't think we need rocks over here, and I actually use this space to get out of there. So that's this little in-between space in between these two buildings pretty much sorted out. Obviously, I do still need to do stuff here, but I'm pretty sure that in between the road and these two buildings, I'm not gonna have much in the way of buildings, because neither of them really allow for a lot of space. So I think I can plant a couple of trees there. Got my saplings, and I've got these azalea bushes, and I've got a whole bunch of bone meal, so I'm gonna go ham and plant some trees. Of course, we don't have to rely exclusively on hidden torches in and among stones for a bit of lighting. We can also place some of these lanterns on fences that we've been doing already, and I think that will work just as well. I like it. It brings a bit of actual reasonability and plausibility as to where exactly all of your light sources are coming from. Put another one over here, just like that. They also kind of help to guide your eye. Oh, okay, the pathway goes this way. Here's another barrier. Cool. These azalea bushes are good for more than just growing azalea trees, like I have here and here. We can go ahead and place some of these guys in there, and that's just a little bit of extra life, because they aren't just a solid block going all the way down. I think if we add one there, that's a bit different. No, not there. But we can, when we get to our library, do a very purposeful row of them, just like that. And they then perform the same task as, say, these fences, in the form that they create a bit of barrier and guide you along the walkway up into here. So I think coming into the building, one of the very first things I want to do is I want to divide the space up a little bit. Now I know here in the very back is where I want the main work area to be. But this is also kind of a shop, more of a storefront than anything else. So he will need a countertop of some sort, I think, whoever he or she, the owner of this shop, might be. Might need a bit of a countertop right there, say, so someone can come up and they can do a bit of business with the man. And then here behind that he's going to have his workspace. And I think in this workspace we can give him some books, because, you know, he's going to be working with a lot of them, so he might as well have a couple, just like that. Doesn't really matter what we put down here. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. And we can hide some lighting underneath these guys for the time being. Definitely, absolutely without a doubt, he's going to need a lectern, and at least one of said lectern with a book in it. I don't know how I feel about that trap door in front of it. No, actually, once you put the book down, the trap door doesn't look too bad. Yeah, okay, that works for me. I think I actually quite like that. Yeah, because then it looks like they have doors that they can actually open. Wow, that has added a surprising amount. All of a sudden this isn't completely empty in front of us anymore. I mean, obviously that's still a big void, but we'll fill that with due time. Now this, I'm very happy with the way that this turned out. Yeah, incredibly happy actually. It's so green out front now. And in the interior, as we step in, it feels quite homely actually. Yeah, quaint. The ceiling is quite low. These trapdoors that I put down here makes it lower than my usual 3-block height. And I think that makes it feel a lot more downscaled, human-sized. I've also got some orange candles all over the place. I like that color transition from the bright yellow down to the orange. We've even got a cartography table for our fellow in here. But there is one more thing I'd like to do to this interior before we end off today's episode, my friends. And that includes making some maps. Oh, it just fired. That reminds me. Oh, look at that! We've got over 3 stacks of sugarcane now. And that's only been in the time that we've been making this. That's really good. I'm really happy about that. So, I want to make maps of the town. Yes, and I'm gonna need 9 maps to do that. So let's make one and see where does this put us. Okay, that's actually really good. Although I suspect that this is going to be able to get that structure in as well, which means we won't need anything to the left of this. Let's go ahead and capture another one. Yeah, no, that does get our blacksmith in quite nicely. It does not get our witch's hut in, but I think that's okay, because we don't want to go any further forward. We might just want to go further back. So let's fill this guy in, and then see about getting the rest of these maps filled in, shall we? And that makes all 9 maps. Look at that. That's actually very, very impressive. Still my favorite part of my village, this space. Nice and dense, well populated, but this area will join in with it and it'll become so incredible, and I cannot wait for that. I'm so glad I've made a map. I can't believe it took me so long. My friends, oh poop, it's dark. It's dark, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep. Oh my friends, I love it. I absolutely love what we've managed to build today, and the space we've created, and the village we've made. Just look at that. Isn't that just so incredible? I love it. My friends, thank you all so very much for joining me in today's episode. You know how this works by now. If you've enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button, it means so much to me. Leave me a comment down below, tell me exactly what you thought, and if you've made it this far into the video and you're not already subscribed, why not? Come on, it's fun. My friends, until next time, have an absolutely brilliant one.